talking like this because we're in a conversation already. In fact, we're already filming this, so. Okay.
Here we go.
We just have to wait for the music to stop. Talking, so.
Okay. Good.
So, I think we're almost about ready. Okay. Well, hi, welcome to Talk Art. This is a solo presentation, the Society of Local Artists. And tonight we're going to talk to two artists whose art has changed their lives and whose lives have been changed by their art. It'll be, we're talking to Maja Babiczeska, and who's from Poland, and the other person we're speaking with is Will Maller, who is from America. He's right here. So we're first going to speak with Maja Babiczeska, and I know I pronounce your name wrong all the time, Maja. I'm so sorry. So please pronounce your name properly for
Babiczeska.
Babiczeska. Okay, thank you very
No
much.
problem.
Now, tell us about where you're from and how art started. You started in art very early in your life.
Yes,
Preschool, pre-walking,
I
pre-cradle?
know.
How did it go?
Well, so I'm from Poland, and indeed I started drawing probably before I was walking, so I was always drawing and painting. I grew up in town. It was a college town, and at the same time a lot of coal miners, so coal miner. And
A coal mining college town.
coal mining college
So-
town, combination of coal miners and technical
So
college.
coal mining has been going on for hundreds of years, and then the school came later, and
I guess so, but so I was growing up in the town, which was very polluted.
polluted.
Yes, and I wasn't related to any coal miners. I was from the family where my mom was a scientist
At the university.
at the university.
That's why you were living there.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. But
And they had a very fine art high school. Is that what you told me?
it was in different town, so
Oh,
it was different town, as polluted as the town where I lived in. So both very polluted, which was shown on my paintings.
uh-huh.
And because of the weather as well in Poland, where it's very cold, I couldn't paint outside very much. So most of my paintings were about interiors.
Uh-huh.
And then it changed when I moved to California.
So I've seen. Oh, excuse me. So let's see. Now you came here. Let's see. You came here first to visit one of your best friends from Poland.
Yes,
And it was in July of '99.
right.
So tell us that story.
I came to visit my friend. We grew up together, and it was just the summer holidays, and it was the time where everyone wanted to be a web designer and make
What
a
was your
living.
friend doing here?
She actually does marketing, but because I was an artist, she thought that I could be a great artist and make money as a web designer. And I thought it was a very good idea, so I got back here in December '99.
December '99.
Yeah,
Okay. So that was a turning point here in Silicon Valley.
right.
Because we were booming for a good, I don't know, 7, 8 years, I think. And Will and I were both involved in that. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be in high tech that time. Even though we're both artists living here in Silicon Valley, we were involved in, you couldn't help but be involved in the high tech boom if you lived here, which is what your friend was doing. So she
Right.
wanted to pass it on. She said, come, be here with us. So you
actually
did.
I like this idea. But unfortunately, by the time I finished studying and taking software classes, it didn't work out anymore.
So you were done, so a year and a half later, so that would have been July of 2001. And so we all had our pink slips by then.
Yes.
And, right. So you said, gee, I'm a brand new web designer, and there's a lot of very experienced web designers that are out of work. A lot of the little companies were closed, and you are now faced with going back to Poland or staying in sunny California. So you could paint interiors back in Poland, or you could stay here painting. You painted San Francisco, you painted swimming pools, you painted different kind of interiors here.
Right.
So you have a painting that's behind you. I don't want you to turn around right now because I'm not quite sure how we're supposed to do this. So there's a painting behind you. If you can get a camera over here on this painting behind Maja so she can talk about this. It's called, what's the name of this? Paris in Pink?
It's Paris in the Pink.
In the Pink. Paris in the Pink. Now the difference between this one, and we're going to show your other paintings in a moment on screen that are off camera. This one is an American-inspired living room.
Exactly.
Tell us about this painting.
So this painting is, it's very American living room where I often see two couches and very big TV. It's not very big on this picture, but most of the time it's very big.
Yeah.
And I wanted something that it's really very American, and I think I needed something on TV.
Yeah.
And it was a big debate what to put on TV, and I decided to put Paris Hilton because she's such
It's
an
just
American
so funny.
icon.
And she stayed on TV because you painted this how many years ago?
That was about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. It was in the show at Art 21. That
Right.
was a year ago or a year and a half ago. You
Yes.
just painted it then. Okay. So it's a 2-year-old painting, and she has done you well. You should send her a thank you note. Thank you for keeping my painting current, and I guessed right. You bet a winning horse on this one.
I think I want her to buy this painting.
You want her to buy Maybe she'll be humble enough when she gets out of jail to
Yeah,
support
yeah.
the arts. Now, in a moment, we're going to bring up some of the other paintings that we have in the studio online. So we have a living room painting. Yeah, we've got 2 paintings that we have. Yes, we have the blue chair painting, and we have the yellow bedroom painting. I don't know which one they're going to put up first, and it's up to the studio's choice, whichever one they want to put up. There we go. We've got blue chair. Can you tell us about this painting? Now, there's the one really interesting thing I'm going to bring up, which I hadn't yet, is that the background, those squares. Can you tell us what it was like in Poland that you needed to have? Well, I'm sorry. Tell us about this painting first, and we're going to talk about the heritage of this painting. Okay.
So this is the painting which I did when I was a student.
When you're getting your MFA?
Yes, it was part of my master and part of the series of interiors. But this painting is probably more special because I used the canvas, which was originally probably a window curtain.
A window curtain. Okay.
Yes, it was the time when we couldn't really get good canvases, so I was making them by myself, and I just stretched the window curtain. And because it was so beautiful, I decided to leave the background and just add the chair.
Yeah.
So that's different living room comparing to this one,
Yeah.
American.
So here you can buy pre-stretched canvases.
Yes.
And in Poland you had to make do. And I think, I remember you telling me when you were in school that you could either stretch your own canvas with some found material, or students would leave paintings that weren't successful and you would paint over them? Is
Yes,
that right? Okay.
yes.
Can you tell me some stories about that?
Basically,
Or is
we
that
didn't
it?
have too many choices. You either make your canvas, or if you don't like the painting, you just paint over.
Yeah.
This one was nice, so there isn't anything
Okay.
changed to this one.
Yeah.
But many paintings, you don't even remember what kind of paintings you had since you painted them over.
Did you paint over them?
Yeah, right now, everything is beautifully done. You just buy ready-made canvases. They are plain white, but I still stretch sometimes the fabric. I use different fabrics with stripes, so I kind of continue doing this mixed media. And Paris in the pink is one of them, where I use the wrapping paper from Draggers. I bought it specially. It does. It makes a carpet for the living room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now there's another painting I want to show also that you did from Poland, and it's called the Yellow Bedroom.
Yes.
And there's a very special story. I love this story about this yellow bedroom painting. It's one of my favorite paintings of your series of interiors. Now there's one red bed in this very empty room. Don't have couches, don't have TVs, don't have stereos. You have this big room with this wonderful red bed. And this, tell me about the room and also about the bed itself.
The room was basically my friend's bedroom. And the bed...
In college?
It was in college. It was where I studied. It was in Czechia. And one of my friends, he lived in the town. I lived in a dorm. And all of my friends always visited our friend since his mother was cooking for us.
Ah,
And
yeah, nice.
we were hanging out in his bedroom, and it was a beautiful bed painted in red. Everyone wanted to sit on the bed. Nobody wanted to sit on the couch. And the bed, my friend told us that the bed was very, very old, and it was very special. Many people were conceived, born, and died in this bed. So it was a huge history behind this bed.
And paint, that red was the last coat of paint.
Yes.
There's many,
Yes.
because it was
so
very, very old.
the red paint and the red bedroom, the bed, it was the most important thing in the whole bedroom. So I really wanted to paint this
To
one.
focus on it, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
when you came here, those 2 paintings that I brought up, what we brought up on the screen that are not in the studio, represent, I think, a good it's a good representation of the show you brought with you from Poland. That
Right.
was your MFA show, where you had several dozen paintings. When you came here, not only did you paint living rooms differently, much more rich, and 2 couches and a big TV with modern, cultural icons, but you also painted, from my perspective, you painted very, very simple outdoor scenes that most other people wouldn't, like Will here, who's sitting next to you, a plein air painter. He paints very extravagant outdoor scenes of natural beauty. And you painted, let's take a look at this painting right here. We've got a backyard in-ground pool with bicycles. It's at night. And the pool evidently is lit from inside?
It is, yes.
Okay.
At night you can at the pool.
So that's pretty amazing for you to see in your neighborhood, coming from where you didn't even have new canvas to paint on, or much less stretched canvas to paint on. And so tell us about this painting a little.
Well, basically this is only a swimming pool and the bikes, and that's very Californian, I thought. And I live in the house with the swimming pool,
Yeah.
and the swimming pool is just very important to me. In fact, when I moved to California, I definitely wanted to live in the house with the swimming pool. That was the most important thing. I used to swim years ago. So swimming pool inspires me all the time. I did several paintings of swimming pool, and I thought it was just beautiful. It doesn't have to be anything else, just swimming pool and the bikes.
In art, when from my perspective and from many people's perspectives, we paint based on elements, design, and so it could be somebody's face, the way they're holding their body. It could be rocks and trees and water, and so simple elements like this, as long as it's positioned properly and you've got the light and so on. So I agree that this is a beautiful painting, and it is, but it's for I guess maybe we're just too used to having so many things that we look for things that are what we consider more special and unique, whereas for you, we had this whole new view.
Right.
It was wonderful to see your artwork when I first saw it, to notice the difference between when there's things that are a little more limited, a lot more limited, and then when they're as they are now. Now the country, Poland is a socialist country, so can you tell us about the background, your political structure, your mother's influence on you, and your career choice and your scholastic choice, and how that folds into and carries you through to today? What's that story?
At the time when I was growing up, there wasn't anything like career. Everyone was pretty much equal, I guess. So my mom didn't suggest any career to me, since painting was natural to me. She was very supportive because she thought I was very good at this, and there wasn't any question if I should do anything else. So naturally, I just did the painting. Where here, it's quite different.
Yeah.
But,
well, speaking of your painting, would you have some of your paints with you, and you use really bright colors, and I'd like you to show people here. Let's bring this up here. You've got a can of some of your brushes, and you've got this very, very bright
that's
color.
my favorite color.
And
it's very bright orange. I need to show this on the paper.
Okay, and you can give us a nice little swish, an art swish with your paint.
So those are the
And you're gonna have to
California
bring-
colors. In Poland, I would use a lot of probably charcoal and gray.
You
Here's
have to
the
hold it up so
California.
people can see what you're doing here.
California is very colorful. A lot of blue,
Uh-huh.
a lot
And
of
orange.
bright colors, and orange. Probably more San Francisco, like on the paintings. That I
Okay,
have
so
here.
orange is to contrast against the blue because you liked a lot of blue. Is that
Yeah.
what you chose? Yeah. So so this is a very nice color. Now you used an interesting paint here. I've never seen this. This is tempera paint.
I wanted to get oil, but they don't have colors like this. I had to get tempera, and I use
Oh.
it for mixed media.
Oh, okay, okay. So you mix media pieces. You use a lot of oil because you're classically trained.
Yes, I
And
did
in
a lot
Europe,
of oil.
That's
Traditional oil.
yeah, that's what you do in Europe.
Yes.
Let's put this down. Well, very nice. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
With your story, your wonderful, unique story. And I'm so glad you're here. And
Me
I know
too.
your mom and your friends in Poland miss you terribly.
Yes.
And they've come out here. Of course, both of you
Yes.
met through Art 21. And Will, now you've got a slightly different story. You grew up in the heartland of,
That's true.
Yeah. And so you've also been an artist your entire life.
Pretty much so. We started, I think, in 6th grade with my first set of praying watercolors, and got in trouble with the English teacher when I wouldn't put them away.
Uh-huh.
And then I think after that, it just has been a part of my life.
Now, one of the things that happened, you also got in trouble. There's an interesting couple of stories that kind of balance themselves out. When you were very young, you were identified by some of the artists in your neighborhood, in your area, in school, whatever, as an artist.
Right.
Well, you've got to come to, and tell us the story.
Come to the 13, I believe it was 13 or 14-year-old, one of my teachers suggested to...
You were 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah, exactly. That I enrolled in, or I be enrolled in one of the drawing courses. I was at the Walker Arts Center in Minneapolis. It turned out it was basically an adult course, and the 2nd or 3rd class was, they were introducing the models.
For figure drawing.
For figure drawing.
Yeah.
Mother, of course, happened to stop and to pick me up a little bit early, discovered what was going on, and that was the end of that, I think.
Yeah. And what, did she grab you by your ear and lead you out?
I don't,
Yeah.
No, I think that was just come along now. And
Okay.
and
So, well,
yeah,
you know, it's
so-
got to be shocking for a non-artist to go into a place
It
to
is.
see their
Yeah.
young adolescent boy who you're worried
Yeah.
about anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
seeing too much.
Yeah, and I
Seeing
think
a lot.
I think that's probably still true today, and I think it's been true probably from early times. And I know Maya, you've run into the same phenomena, or not same social stigma maybe.
It's a social issue that,
yeah.
that we have to worry. We're not worried. We have to be concerned about with people that are non-artists
Yeah,
versus.
exactly. Doing the figure, I simply feel is similar to the doing scales to a musician.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
It keeps you sharp. It's a love and it's a skill. It develops. It helps all of your art, regardless of your media.
I would say that it's even further than that. That it's part of one of the things that we do as artists is trying to understand the world, the concept of why we're here, what it's all about. And it starts with, you can go out to nature and try to figure out the planet and the planets where we are in the universe, but we also
Right.
look at ourselves and the human anatomy and who are we?
Right.
We were talking earlier before we started taping. We all looked at humans, and we're drawing. It was humans. As we all looked at humans, we all looked at people, and drawing human anatomy for
Right.
children and other ages. When we're young, we tried to figure out what is it that makes people
What
look
makes them
older,
different.
what makes them look younger.
Exactly.
What parts? So we're very young. We all identified that we got in trouble for staring. Children that
Yes.
stare are not considered very polite children. Artistic children that stare are people that are trying to figure things out. So now we have a sketch of yours here. That's a very nice figurative piece, and you got in
Yes.
trouble for this. Not in trouble, but the piece got in trouble. Got kicked out of a show that was juried into by.
That's true. That was juried into a show, I believe, by actually it was Jane Hofstetter of the Watercolor Society, who was the juror and well-known national juror, and was awarded a first place and was a candidate for Best of Show in that show. However, it was being hung at a venue that was a little more concerned on, quote, family values, and
And what happened to it?
it hung for 3 or 4 days. It was there for the artist reception. It received its awards, and then it was asked to be removed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's happened to many people over their careers when they have a nude,
Yep.
especially when it's even though it's very nice and it's not extreme.
No,
Now,
not at
here
all.
you have an extreme story. So now fast forward again another couple years, and you were invited to a very high-end ritzy.
Well, there were some people that had seen this drawing in that show from San Francisco,
Okay.
and then I was contacted as a number of galleries with their artists were going to participate in an artist drawing figure workshop open to the public for the most part. The public being patrons of the gallery.
Now, were they paid money? They had to pay a lot of money for tickets to get in there, right? It wasn't open to anybody.
Well,
sounds like because it was black tie.
It was black tie. It was,
And
it
limos
was,
were coming
oh,
up.
yeah, absolutely.
And the 49ers would pile out.
Yeah,
and
there
there was
were
all
a
sorts
number
of
of
people
those,
that you
right,
knew that were
exactly.
recognizable.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There was an
Some
entry fee.
ex-mayors were there, things like this?
It was my invitation.
Okay, all right, so.
But it was very close to the Mission District, and there was an element
flavor.
of that flavor
Okay.
that introduced itself into the show and into some of the models. It was a very interesting evening.
So can you, but no, you're cutting it short here.
I am.
You're being too, all right, so I'll have to go in here a little bit. You were painting, you were drawing,
Right.
and you noticed a
by the
model
way-
came up there that had a
Well, this was
spiky collar on?
The purpose of this show, basically, our drawings were for sale. There were
Okay.
probably 8 or 9 artists, and the money generated from the sale of the paintings were going off to
Charity.
a charity. Some of the models, the first couple of models, were pretty straight. Some were semi-clothed. The third model was a gentleman and a very fine model, and I had to do a double take. He had a dog collar on with spikes.
Okay.
That
was your first hint.
That
There was
was the
something a little
first hint,
different.
right. The next couple of models were two female models that were very good models, but with assorted leather straps and spikes and a few
High heels,
chains.
spiky heels, and chains.
High heels and purple hair.
Okay.
Which was, and as the evening progressed, it took on that kind of an interesting flavor.
Well, no, we also had men that had glued horns on their head.
Yes,
and
we had some of that,
cod
right.
pieces
We
and
had
leather jock
cod pieces.
straps and
We
lots
had
of
that.
stuff.
Yep.
I think you even said there was a man that had a muzzle on and a collar being led by another man.
By another man, yeah.
With a leather. All right, these were people in the audience.
Yes, these were people in the
Now,
audience.
one of my favorite parts. Now you got to tell this story where you're drawing and you're totally absorbed,
Right,
and then you recognize somebody is cheering you on, right?
right.
And then when you finally turned around, what did you see?
That was the young lady. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I think you told me there was like dozens or 50 people were watching you.
That's true.
You had no,
I had an audience of maybe 20 or 30 people.
And who was your model
were
for that one?
watching. The model for that one was, who was that model? That was the leather.
the woman with the blue hair and the.
women with the blue hair and
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, it's what we've got though is
It was a mixed element.
it's shocking for as an artist. I mean, this isn't what we do. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
titillated and doing S&M
No,
poses.
not at all.
And it's not why we do figure drawing, but people from the outside of the artist community see this and they're titillated by it, and it is a problem.
Yeah.
And it started. You firsthand saw it with your mother, not understanding what was going on, and then all the way to modern
Yeah.
times with you, to invited to a very fancy place. Yeah.
Well, there was probably half a dozen of the pieces that I drew were sold, so we were able to make a
That's
contribution
nice. Yeah,
to
yeah.
this
So your
area,
contribution,
sure.
what you came there to do was accomplished. It
Absolutely.
was just the method and the parameters around it were a little bit
Exactly. The environment
exotic.
was a little sketchy.
Yeah. Now you've got some beautiful other paintings that
Thank
we
you.
have here. We've got some Rolands I'd like to bring in, and also want to talk about the painting behind you. So
Right.
if we could have one of the Rolands first, would be a abstract, I believe we can do first. Will, we've got one called the Monterey Sunlit Tide Pools is going to be coming up
Right.
soon. I'll let you know when it comes up. And this one, here it is. So could you tell me about this one?
Sure. That's a mixed media piece. It started with transparent watercolor, and then we worked in some thinned acrylic, some gel, and then thickened the acrylic as we continued painting it.
Now, were you on site when you painted that?
We were on site.
Okay, marvelous.
We were on the
marvelous.
coast. We were
Okay.
on the coast of
Of Monterey.
Monterey. Absolutely.
And the next one I'm going to show is the Gold Country Sundown, and you were
Right.
also on site for this one?
Yes, absolutely. That one that was started. It's from the Stanislaus River. up near Bear Valley, and
Okay.
it was completed and finished in the studio.
Okay, okay. Now you have another piece that's behind you. It's
Exactly.
live in the studio, and you brought some paints with you and
I did,
brushes
yes.
and this really, really great setup here. And I've never seen anything like this before, where it's on wheels. You've got a glass
Right.
top. You can paint right on the top of your.
Well, that's my palette. The whole system is kind of
Go
an
ahead.
interesting
Now-
cabaret.
You have. Can you show us a little bit about it? You're going to
Sure.
put a little. You're actually going to do some painting for us live. I know you have to
Sure.
be really careful about where you're standing.
The this is a wet painting. It's in progress.
A wet painting. It's it's oil
Absolutely,
and it's
very
wet, so you could
much
smear
oil.
it if you
Oh.
drug your hand across it.
Absolutely.
Okay, which we won't do.
There's a portion of the painting that really needs correction. That when you mentioned we were doing this, it would be fun to do it. If you're looking at the light path on this, there's an area perhaps in here that needs to have that correction done to correct some of this, and that basic, very similar fashion, you can lay that in.
Nice. Now this one is
correcting
inspired
that.
by the one we just saw, right?
Yeah, this is a larger size, done in a plein air tradition, in a plein air style. Now that's kind of helping that out. I may go back in here and in fact take and drop in, work some of the water so that it drizzles maybe down in this fashion, and maybe might drizzle over the top and come down, maybe in that fashion.
Oh, nice.
And continue. I think as it dries now, I'll go back in and glaze this and set some of these planes back, bring some others forward, and then refine our water back down in this area. It's similar to the sundown piece that is currently in the plein air show in the Napa Museum.
Oh, well, that's right. That's right. You have a piece in a museum in Napa. That's great. Now,
Right.
how did that piece get? We're going to be wrapping up soon. We only have
That's
like a
fine.
minute left or so. But tell us briefly how you got into a museum
Sure.
in Napa.
That was a juried plein air show. It was sponsored by the Napa Museum, which I entered, and I was
good.
accepted.
So here you've got, you live in America, you grew up in the heartland, you grew up in Minneapolis, I believe, right?
Yes, true.
And you were educated
Yep.
there. And you go to, you've gone to a lot of really beautiful extreme places to paint
Yes.
outdoor pieces. You come here and you say, I don't have to go anywhere to paint exciting, beautiful outdoor pieces. They're right here. You painted goats on the hills. You painted the cows on the hills of Stanford. And thank you very much, both of you, for coming. And thank you for watching. This is the SOLA show called Talk Art. And these two wonderful artists are members of SOLA. And if any of you would like to join us and to talk about your art and what you're doing and your stories about how art changed your lives and how life changed your art, you can come in and be a SOLA member and join us next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is Susan Kraft. I forgot to tell you, this is Susan Kraft speaking for SOLA. Thank you. Bye-bye.